As mail-in ballots go out this week throughout Colorado, the races have gone into high gear. Darrell Glenn has made an appearance on the airwaves, getting a sudden influx of funds, as have other down-ballot races, including the opponents of the medical aid and dying issue and some state Senate races. Eric, so admittedly, when I was in high school, even in college, I was that guy cramming for the test the hour before the thing, thinking it's going to make a difference or even at least help. With these campaigns, picking the week, only really the week that ballots go out to campaign, does it make a real difference, or have too many people made up their minds before the ballots come out?
Yeah, the week before the ballots go out, Dominic, is the week where you reach your crescendo. It's not the week where you start. You've started for weeks and months beforehand. I challenge your question. The question said that Darrell Glenn's campaign is in high gear. I do not call it when you shift from first to second on a 5-speed. That is not going into high gear. It's going from first to second. This is an example of not spending good money after bad, but spending good money after none. Whoever is investing in that campaign, we've had this conversation, that race was never a race, and it's not a race. Now, the focus is where the focus has always been, on a handful of ballot issues, on Congressional District 6. Kaufman and Carroll, they had their final debate over at Channel 9, Channel 20 yesterday. It was feisty, as was the one that you and I did, Dominic. Perhaps, I'm not a believer yet, perhaps in Congressional District 3 over in western and southern Colorado, and then very intensely battle for control of the state legislature, particularly the state Senate, where it really comes down to probably 3 districts, one in Jeffco, one in Arapahoe, one in Adams. Democrats, to take over the Senate, have to go 3 for 3. Republicans just have to go 1 for 3 in order to keep their control of the state Senate. That's where the battle is engaged.
Ben, this last flurry here, we're seeing the campaigns that we haven't heard from a long time pop up on the airwaves. Does it make a big enough difference to make a victory?
I think most Coloradans are saying Darrell who, so no. I do think that for the down ballot races that there's less clutter, there's less information, and so that information coming in late can have an effect, particularly as Eric was saying in some of these legislative races, Zenzinger Woods probably being the most outstanding of getting a ton of money pumped into it, going on radio, going on television, and people maybe not being totally sure where they are because those elections are lower information. I think if you're running at the top of the ballot and you're just starting now, you are in big fat trouble.
Patty, I know at the very least from the ads we've seen from the Glenn campaign, he would be the most fit. Maybe not for the office, but definitely physically fit. I mean, it was an impressive workout. From what you've seen this last flurry, what has stuck out for you?
Well, much of what Eric said, which is why he is just now shifting and why he's getting fit now. The fact that he missed so many opportunities, those debates, why he didn't give more interviews. I understand that Darrell Glenn didn't appreciate his treatment by the Denver Post, but he has also dodged other reporters. And the fact is, he's got a pretty compelling life story. And as we found out more about the kind of violent household he grew up in, he could have told that story to great effect. Maybe not great enough effect to have any shot at beating Bennett, but he did himself a disservice by not getting the free press that you can get from the media. So I agree, though, also with Ben, that if you have not started studying these ballot initiatives, you are going to have to do a very fast study right now, or we're going to see a lot of people just voting no.
David, it's a big ballot, everyone knows that, but as I went through mine, it was a good reminder that there are a lot of important positions, like county commissioner. County commissioners in my county are probably going to make more decisions that are going to affect my personal life than my U.S. senator or the president. So do you think Coloradans are going to put in the effort to know more about those issues, the races that we're not hearing about on the airwaves?
Well, I hope so, and if you don't vote. It's not mandatory, and if you haven't studied for the test to be able to give a responsible answer, let the decision be made by other people who did. If you have an opinion on the presidential race or the Senate, but not on county commissioner, don't vote for county commissioner if you know nothing about it. Although it's also true that party labels are useful information to voters because they're Democratic versus Republican versus Libertarian versus Green. All of those tell you a fair amount about the person's orientation. So it's okay to go on that. I think many voters may say the name of the month is November, so we're just going to vote against all of these statewide ballot measures, which is probably where I'm leaning, except on the slavery reform thing, which I will support. So we shouldn't have any loopholes to allow slavery in our Constitution, which we've never had any problem with that in Colorado, but in the former slave states, that loophole allowing penal servitude was actually used to create de facto slavery through a convict labor system that was which exploited black people.